Entrepreneurship at its best is a space where creativity, resilience, and vision collide. And you just saw a live testament of that. As more women step boldly into this arena, they are transforming not just industries but mindsets. Their stories remind us that innovation thrives when diverse voices are heard, and that the future of entrepreneurship is richer, stronger, and more dynamic when women are at the forefront of shaping it. We now move to our lightning talks, and that's exactly what they are: short, sharp, and crisp. Our first lightning talk, Reinventing Yourself, the real startup every founder builds, by Soundarya Balasubramani. Soundarya Balasubramani is a three-time author, storyteller, and entrepreneur who uses writing and storytelling to help people navigate life's most difficult transitions. In this talk, she will share three pivotal moments that forced her to reinvent her path: quitting a dream job, writing a book after a visa denial, and rebuilding her vision after a life-altering incident in London. Soundarya, please join us on stage. 3x author of 1000 Days of Love, Unshackled and Admitted.
Oh boy. It's so crazy to stand here and see the room versus be in the seat. You are so brave. So fantastic. Okay, great. Awesome. I love to start my talks with asking a question. So I want you to shout out one word of what you're feeling right now. Is it sleepy? Overwhelmed? Okay, you know what? Raise your hand. Who's sleepy? Well, you won't raise your hand because you're probably sleepy. Who is feeling like excited? Thank you. Who's excited? Thank you so much. Who is overwhelmed? Because it's so... I was sitting there and I was just feeling the sense of, Jesus, to be at the receiving end of so much information, it's like watching television, but you cannot change the channel. Like, you can't do anything for me to go off stage right now. You're stuck with me for the next 15 minutes. And who is feeling a sense of hope listening to what's happening? Wonderful. Well, oh, the clicker is working now. Great. Thank you all for being here. I have been on quite a few stages in the past, but this one is extra special for me because there's two people in the audience who have never seen me speak on a stage before. My dad and my mom, they're sitting right there. So, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to start this by asking you one question. Everyone has a place in the world that they dream to visit. Like one place in the world that brings you so much joy just thinking about that place. Shout out names of those places. Like one country, one city, somewhere in the world that you're like, it's on my checklist. I have to visit this place before I die. France, anything else? Say, can you be louder? Paris, oh, come on. All in France, anything else? Netherlands, why Netherlands? Beautiful. Beautiful sceneries. Nice. Anything else? Bhutan, who said that? What's your name? Kajal? Beautiful. Kajal, you're going to be the speaker's pet, and I'm going to keep coming back to you now, okay? The clicker is not working. Oh, it's working. Cool. For me, that place was this. Any guesses on what this is? Wait, is it so common that everyone knows this is London? I didn't know that. So this is London. For me, that dream place was London because I grew up reading Enid Blyton novels. Any Enid Blyton fans? Of course. And J.K. Rowling, you know, almost no one knows here, I'm sure. So reading these novels, I felt a sense of fascination for walking the London streets. Just going through those cobblestone streets, red brick houses. And I don't know if you know this, but London has really gray skies. Did you guys know that? It's actually a very gray place. On September 17th, 2024, I actually got this moment of being in my dream place. I was in London, and this is what I journaled that night on the very first day I went there. I wrote, I was walking down Oxford Street today, and for a moment I felt like a kid who's been let loose in a candy store. I was just watching these rows of shops and people on the street. They all walked so fast. I felt my mind expanding. I was noticing tiny details again, colors, smells, things that we don't notice if we've been living in the city for too long. If you're walking Bangalore streets, you're not looking at the people. You're trying to just get to your destination. But when you go to a new place, there's this fascination with what's happening there. And overall, it just felt magical for me. I've had this feeling of, I cannot believe I got to spend the next year in London. Except, I wouldn't even spend the next week in London. In fact, within the next 24 hours, this lifelong held dream would come crashing down because of something that is so bizarre and unexpected that happened the next day. But before we come to that incident, I'm going to take you back 5 years and share 3 moments and 3 dates from my life that taught me the most important lessons of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Are you all ready? Guys, you had food. Are you all ready? Thank you. For the first moment, we're going to go to March 11, 2019. How many of you here have been to the US before? Okay, have you gone for studying or working? Studying and working? Okay, more working than studying. For those who raise their hands for studying, like you, I went to the US to study back in 2017. I got into Columbia University, Ivy League school, and I had 3 goals. I wanted to get into an Ivy League, graduate, and join my dream company as a product manager. Any product managers in the crowd? Okay, a few people. I actually got a chance to go through all of these goals. Wow, this clicker is not working. Oh, okay. I got into Columbia, graduated, and got into my dream role as a product manager. Oh, gotcha. And then on March 11, 2019, I'm standing in front of a very tall building, and I'm curious if you know what this building is. Any guesses? Yes, how did you know that? You've seen it? Yeah. This is the very famous Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. If you see the San Francisco skyline, this will be the tallest tower there. So I was standing in front of this building, and I just had this thought that this is it. This is why I came to this country. I got to my dream. I got into Salesforce as a product manager with a $150,000 salary. More money than I have ever seen in my life back then. But at that same time, there was a smaller, quieter voice that asked this question of, is this it? Is this the American dream that people talk about? I want to ask you something, and feel free to, not raise your hands if you're scared to answer. How many of you got into your first job and it just felt not enough? It felt like, is this it? Okay, thanks for being brave and raising your hands. Because I felt that within the first week itself. And I realized why after reading this book, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Any readers of this book? Okay, not many. I highly recommend. One of the best books I've read in my life. There's a specific passage from here that stuck with me. Phil Knight writes, and by the way, Phil Knight is the creator of Nike. He writes that, I tell men and women in their mid-20s not to settle for a job or a profession or even a career. Rather, seek a calling. Even if you don't know what that means, just seek it. This stuck with me because I realized I got more meaning from the 4 hours I would spend in a park reading every single day or writing in the library than I ever got from my very high-paying corporate job. That's why I realized that I had a job, I had a career, but I did not have a calling. And my calling was writing. So, on October 30th, 2021, I made the decision to quit my high paying job when I was 25 years old back then. This is a picture taken on top of a mountain in New York. It has nothing to do with me quitting my job, but that is how I felt when I quit my job. It felt like I was free. But this taught me my first lesson of becoming an entrepreneur is you cannot just settle for a job. You have to seek a calling, even if you don't know what that means, at least seek it. For the next date, I'm going to move on to a few years to May 16, 2022. At this point, I was in Oakland, California. I was at this small supermarket and I was ordering an avocado sandwich when I got the following message from my lawyer. He said, "I'm so sorry, Soundarya, but they denied it." Any guesses on what he was talking about? Visas. Who here has gone through US immigration before? Tell me how you feel about it in one word. Biased. Any other words? Alien. Oh, beautifully said. You know, until you get a citizenship, you're still called an alien, even if you have a green card. So, this message was about something called the O1 visa. So, the O1, for those who don't know, it's like a talent visa. It's given to people who have done a lot for their field. Back then, I wanted this stupid visa so much that I had spent $15,000, 1.5 years, and more than 200 hours working towards the application. But more than anything, it took this away from me. This thing called hope that we all have for something that we care about so much. Back then, if you'd asked me, do you want the O1 visa or do you want $1 million? What do you think I would have chosen? I was that stupid that I would have chosen the O1 visa because it meant something more than just a piece of paper. It meant freedom and validation for all these years of hard work. But alas, I didn't get it. And so I remember writing this in my journal that day. I wrote, "I cannot begin to think back to the 1.5 years of effort I put into this. I know everything will be okay, blah, 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 but in this moment, I can't stop trying." So for the next 2 days, that was me. I was in my bed and, my parents tried to call me. They didn't understand what the hell the no one even was. And they were like, "Why are you so sad? It's just a visa." But it meant so much back then. On day 1 and day 2, I was in my bed. But on day 3, I woke up and I moved on from it because you don't have a choice. But I couldn't fully move on. I felt this sense of, I had gone through this incredibly frustrating process of US immigration, and I had to write about it because that's how I process things happening in life. So about a month later, I was talking on a call with my mentor, Rajesh, and I was telling him, "Rajesh, I want to write about this. I want to write about this process and help other people who come after me, but I don't know what to do. What do I do?" He just asked me 3 words, 3 simple words. He was like, "What's stopping you? Go write about it." And I realized what was stopping me was nothing external. It was mostly internal. I just felt this sense of, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a visa expert, so how can I write about this? But for a few hours, I decided, assume that you're writing the book. It's already decided. So what do you want to do next? I decided to send an email to 2,500 people on June 16, 2022. This is roughly how the email went. I literally wrote this in the subject, word for word, "A book on immigration to help people like you." And I said, blah, 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 blah. What are the top 3 questions you want this book to answer? I sent this email at 6 p.m. on a Friday evening. The best time to send emails, right? When everyone's checking their laptop. 6 p.m. on a Friday. So I sent the email, went to sleep, and the next morning I wake up to 100 responses. I mean, these weren't just responses of people saying, "Oh, yeah, I have some questions." People were writing essays back to me, explaining how painful immigration has been for them and how much it took away from them. that made me realize that there's something here. There's a book market fit that's happening. So a year later from that email, I got a chance to publish my second book, Unshackled. But that email was the spark that led to this book eventually. So this taught me my second lesson: turn every crisis into an opportunity. I know it doesn't feel like it when you're going through the crisis, but with some mentorship and a few hours of telling yourself, I can do this, it's actually kind of crazy how much you can get done if you just suspend your own beliefs for a few hours. And now for the final date, we come to September 18th, 2024. Do you know what date this is? We are back to London again. This is my second day in London. But to tell you why I was in London, a few months ago, I got this email from someone called Faber Academy. So, Faber Academy is a very prestigious publisher in the UK, and I had applied to their novel writing fellowship and actually got in. So, this was an email of a lifetime. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you so much. This was an email of a lifetime for me. And as a writer, to get a chance to go to London and write a novel, nothing like it, right? It's the dream of any writer to go there and do it. And I wanted to write my third book, which is my first fiction, 1,000 Days of Love in London. So second day of London, I'm on the street. There's a spring in my step. I'm full of joy and excitement. I'm looking for a co-working space when this tall guy approaches me on the street. I have a hoodie on, so I'm like keeping my hands in pockets, and I'm just walking around. And he comes and asks, do you have any money? What do you tell someone when they ask you, do you have any money? So I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. And then I kept walking. The next thing I remember from that moment is I was on my knees, I was bleeding. I saw blood on my hands, my phone, my shirt. And then it hit me that he had just punched me on my face. And I had no idea that that happened. It happened in such a bizarre way because you don't expect someone to punch you when you're walking on the street. So, I'm not gonna lie, it was not a good day. But when I was in the hospital that day, after the police left, and I was just holding these tissues on my face, and my right eye was completely swollen shut because he had hit me on the right side of my face, and my nose was broken. I was just sitting in the hospital and waiting for a doctor to come see me, and it hit me that I don't want to be in London. I want to go back to India, back home. So I decided to leave London, return to India, and I was so fortunate because I had so many people who checked in on me, so many police officers called me during that time, and just such a beautiful support system of friends who took care of me when this happened. But more than anything else, I had my parents who said, to hell with London, come back to India. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you did back then. I'm so grateful. To end this story, even though I didn't get my London dream, which was my dream since I was a kid, I still got to finish the book because I decided to go to a farm instead. I began doing something called farm hopping, where you go from one farm to the next and you keep writing your book on these farms. But a year later, and after 3 farms across 2 countries, I have finished the draft of my novel. So this brings me to the biggest lesson of all. The vision matters. How you get there does not matter. If you want to start a company, focus on starting the company and helping the people you want to help. Not, do you get funding? Are you getting rejected by this VC fund? Is your co-founder not working out? Those are all the routes, it doesn't matter. What matters is the final vision. So, thank you. If there is one thing I'll leave you with, And if you all truly want to be entrepreneurs, start by not just looking for a job, but a calling. Even though that sounds very woo-woo, it doesn't make any sense. Second is to turn every single crisis into an opportunity. Because life will punch you in the face out of the blue when you least expect it. And finally, most importantly, the vision matters. How you get there truly does not matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Talk about heart and a story that comes from the beginnings and, well, the path that you're being led to. Absolutely all heart, Soundarya. Thank you for sharing with us. I'm going to have to call you back on stage so we can hand the memento to you. We have our session chair, Jayalakshmi Nair from Scholarly EduLabs, to please hand it over.